The evolution of Sami Zayn is like, it's just you. I mean, you crack me up in general, but like just like watching like the
Thanks.
social media posts you're putting out and the like the documentary you're working on, how much of that is just you in the driver's seat with the creative on this?
Um, a fair bit. And I heard John's now infamous podcast.
Oh yes, dun dun
You know,
dun.
yeah. And I understand, and that frustration exists to a certain extent for all the talent. I mean, anybody who's remotely creative and has to work, and this is excluding WWE, this is excluding wrestling, even this is just the arts and showbiz and whatever. I mean, if
Mhm.
you are an artistic and creative person who wants to do things, but then the higher up you get in the world of show business, the less creative control you have, but the more money you make, right? So it's this weird relationship
Sure.
between rising and having creative freedom, and there's this
Mhm.
battle between the two. And I'm pretty fortunate to where I actually feel like I've had a lot of my ideas go through a kind of shocking amount, especially in the last 2 years.
I feel
Two
like it was
years,
almost like like when you came back and you kind of turned on the crowd and started cutting those promos. That
yeah.
must have been such an eye-opening experience for Vince to be like, "Oh, we can trust this guy on the mic to like really deliver some interesting content."
Yeah, and there was, what's funny? There was, I forget what it was. There was this weird, you never know which segment's going to be the one that really opens their eyes. Because I think I was already doing pretty good work in the ring. I think I'd already established myself as someone who's more than competent in the ring, and
Yeah.
more than competent holding my own on the microphone as a good guy. But then especially, I thought I was doing some really good mic work as a bad guy even before
Yeah.
all this. But then there was this one day where I was like a guest referee or something for Kevin versus Seth,
Okay.
and I I was just doing me. Like I didn't even have any mic time. I was just banter that the mic the camera would pick up when I was being a ref. When I got
Mhm.
back, they were all like doubled over, and they're like, that's kind of what I think inspired the idea for me to start being a mouthpiece for Shinsuke or Nakamura and all that.
Yeah.
There, I came back and Vince's like, "You've got the gift of gab. We gotta. There's just some." And I wasn't even cutting a promo. I was being a ref, but they just started seeing me in this new light. Where like this guy, he can be so much. He can do so much for other people, even not just like. I think they saw a broader vision for me in that moment. As
Mhm.
somebody who could be a manager even 10, 15, 20 years down the road and help other
Yeah.
guys and all that kind of thing. And it was just some strange light bulb that went off when they just started seeing me in a bit of a different light. And I think there was a new trust in my ability to I don't know, maybe not carry a segment, definitely to talk, just to like to your point,
You
to be a
can fill
trusted
some
guy.
time. I mean,
I,
it's like it's being
I
able to fill some time, and it's very clear to me that's like you're not handed a promo that is a 3-page long promo. I mean, it seems like a lot of that truly is just you talking, or maybe you're writing them ahead of time, whatever. But
mhm.
I can like knowing you the way that I know you, I can
Yeah,
see that like transparency of like, oh, that's just Sammy being Sammy. Like
yeah.
it's
Well,
great.
yeah, and for sure, I'm one of the luckier guys because there have been people that I mean, it took a while for my ideas to start kind of getting through because I know,
That's kind of always how it goes though, right? Like, it always is
yeah.
a long
But I'm
process to
sure
kind of earn
John
that
had a million
trust and have
ideas that
that
he was
TV time.
pitching, and
Sure.
and he was a top guy. He was the champion. But I'm sure,
Yeah.
it's sometimes you just don't get them through. I just
Yeah.
started getting lucky out of nowhere. And then because some of the stuff was working and I had good relationships with the writers, I don't know, just I'm very lucky. I can't complain as much as other guys when it comes to pitching things and actually getting them.
Mhm.
I have gotten away with a lot more than most, so I don't feel like I'm in a position to complain about that by any means.
Do you ever
Um,
get told to, like, reel it back? Because I feel like, I mean, once you start going,
oh
as we
yeah.
can see on this show, I'm sure they must be like, "Ugh, don't go there, don't talk about that." Like, does that come up for you?
Well, so part of my process is when I'm working with writers on putting my stuff together. If I want to put it together,
Which writers do you normally work with?
it kind of varies.
Okay.
It varies. I have different writers that and most people won't know the writers anyway. So this is, it
That
would
was
really just be
totally
for
just
me
a
and
me and
you,
you
but
conversation that no one else is
yeah,
going to
yeah,
care
yeah.
about. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But it varies. Like I deal with Zach from the home team, and I talk to Callahan a lot, and
Mhm.
the writers on assignment the day of TV will always kind of be different. All this to say, what was I saying? What was I saying right before this?
Having a little creative
Oh yeah, yeah. So
leeway.
my
Your
process, I should say,
process.
is hey, here's kind of what I want to say. And I know it's too much, but I have all this stuff. And then the producer, and this is, or my writer, my producer, this is how I like to work. I like to be in charge of the idea, or not in charge, but I like to have my idea. I like to give it to you, and I like you to edit it a little bit and make it concise, make it deliverable in the allotted time we need. Or, in the case of a producer, make sure it's in line with Vince's vision or whatever.
Mhm.
But that's what I like. I like these people. I have in certain moments been called, difficult or whatever, but you'll find that the only times I'll be difficult is when things are being dictated to me. I don't like that. I'll
Yeah.
admit, I can be difficult for sure if you're dictating what I have to do, especially if I don't think if it's good. Like if you dictate, here's what you have to do, and it's great. I'm like, oh man, that's great. I'll go with it. You'll get no pushback from me. But if you're telling me here, this is what you're doing, and it's not good, I will be combative.
Well, you can also be a rather misunderstood person because you end up in
Mm.
these like Larry David moments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My problem, Renee, is that I'm not the best at. I hate to even use this expression, but like playing the game.
Mhm.
Like it's a gift and a curse. My heart's on my sleeve. I'm very transparent, and it's
Mhm.
a gift and a curse. And when it comes to WWE, there have been times I got better at it, but there's a certain language that you speak and a certain vocabulary so as to not be so forceful or whatever,
Sure.
and it's just tact. It's just tact. And I'll admit I haven't always been the most tactful. There are times I maybe over estimate the relationship I have with someone. So I'm very
Okay.
upfront with what I say. And
Yeah.
it's like, what? So I don't know. It's just about navigating. It's a never ending learning process of learning to navigate different people, who you can say what with, how you could say what with whom.
Your
It's
language has to change with certain people. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's hard
And
to
I,
adapt to that
yes.
sometimes.
And that was never a thing in my life until I got to WWE. So I didn't learn those skills of, Jedi mind tricks and wanting to get my stuff in, but saying it in a
Yeah,
way that I never
you're
had to.
battling English, French, Arabic. You're trying
Yeah.
to learn how to juggle it all. Throw the guy a bone.
Yeah. Well, don't feel bad for me. It all worked out pretty well.
You're fine. You're
Yeah.
fine.